Hello, it's Eva. Welcome to another video. This one is going to be a card making video, and in it I want to make a pillar card. But I want to make a pillar card with a bit of a bridge. So I've got a bunch of stuff here. Now this is stuff that was left over from a couple of, well, from one kit anyway. Possibly two, because I'm not sure if this came from the same kit or a different one. At any rate, there was a couple of these pictures were left over. They were printed. They didn't necessarily print properly the whole page, so I just set them aside, and now I'm going to use them. These things was the same thing. They were a couple of cards, actually, the little cards, and these were in the corner of the card, and I thought, oh, those are really pretty. They would make a nice flower on a something. They're cut slightly different because, you know, I cut them at different times, so, you know, my eyesight's not always, it's not always the best, but, you know, anyway, they look fine, and it doesn't matter if they're slightly different. Then I have picked out some papers, and I put the papers that I'm sort of interested in on top in this bag, and plus I have this dark one, and I kind of like the look of the picture on the dark one. And I'm doing a 6x6 card because this is square. This picture is square, and it'll look better on a 6x6 than on a 5x7. So I'm going to do a 6x6 card. This is a piece of acetate. You can probably see the shine there. I'll try not to shine it too much in your face. It's a piece of acetate. It's fairly heavy. It came off of goodness knows what. I tend to keep these things. If they come on packaging of some sort, I will keep them because they can be used for so many things. You know, you want a part that's kind of invisible. Now I haven't cleaned this one, so I need to do that. And I'll show you what you do. You just use the alcohol, the rubbing alcohol, basically, and you just spray a little bit on. And most of these acetates can have rubbing alcohol on them, and it cleans them up quite nice, better than a window cleaner would. A window cleaner can be streaky. The rubbing alcohol doesn't usually end up streaky, so it cleans it up, makes it nice, gets all the fingerprints off. But we'll do that a little later. I'm going to set that out of the glare for you. Oops, it got stuck on a label that decided to lift slightly. So there's this dark paper, and it does have a bit of a pattern in it, but you really can't see the pattern. It's so dark, and I'm looking at using that for the background piece, and then one of these others that I've picked out, which are a little brighter. I picked the plain papers out of this. This is a cherry themed paper package. It's one of the AliExpress ones that I got, and this one has single sheets. So whatever I use, this is it. Oh, I didn't take that little one out. Anyway, yeah, so the ones that I left behind are busier ones, but there's only one of each sheet, so I have to sort of judge where I'm using it and, you know, how much I'm going to need for everything. And I may have to use a couple of different patterns on the pillar, and I'll show you that when we get to it. Anyway, so these papers are ones I don't really want to use. Now these are 8, as far as I remember, they're 8 by 8. I can measure that and make sure. But I think, see, this is an 8 by 8, and yeah, they're 8 by 8. So pretty sure that's what they are. I'll just run the ruler on. Yes, 8 by 8. You know. So there we go. So they're all 8 by 8 pieces, and I'm just going to set those there. Now what we're using is, I've got a card base. It's just a white card base, and that's going to be the base of the card. And then I've got I pre-cut these because I thought, well, I may as well get them cut. So you need them 6 inches high to match your card base, but then you need them 5 3/4 inches. Now, if you notice, they cover the card. Almost. There's a tiny little strip, which means the card is not 6 by 6. It's closer to 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And that's because these card bases are generally made to fit into whatever they call the card. So they say it's a 6 by 6. That means it fits into a 6 by 6 envelope. It doesn't mean it's 6 by 6. So most of the card bases, that's how they are. Now this is a fairly decent, sturdy cardstock, which is what I like. And I'm choosing 2 other base. I took 1 more base, and I cut it so that these are 5 3/4 by supposedly 6 inches tall, but obviously 5 3/4. I want to score these now, and these need to be scored. And I did not write it down. You know, it's something. If I remember, I'll try and put the scoring and the size in the click here box. And then if you're wanting to follow exactly, then you can do that. But these need to be scored right now, and because they're 5 3/4 inch, and I want 1 inch pillars on each side. So these are going to take up. Do I want 1 inch pillars? Hang on. Perhaps I don't want 1 inch pillars, and then I'll show you how to adjust. I do not want 1 inch pillars because look what that's going to do. That is going to completely cover up. If I did a 1 inch pillar on each side, then you look at the 1 inch, and you know, I'm putting this fairly well in the middle. I'm not going to be able to fit my picture in the middle if I do 1 inch. Now this is measuring out to almost 6. It's, you know, anyway. So I don't want 1 inch pillars. I want more like a ½ inch pillar on each side. Maybe I'll do a ½ inch pillar. Okay. So if I want a ½ inch pillar, what that means is I want my fold lines on the pillar piece at a ½ inch, not an inch. So I'm going to leave it this size because once I get my 5 lines on, then I'll cut it. I'll cut the extra. So I want them at a ½ inch. So go on a ½ inch, and then go on another ½ inch. So that's 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and you've got 4 boxes, right? You need a 5th one to wrap around, but you don't need it to be a full ½ inch. You actually need it to be less than that. Now, 1/8 of an inch is going to be a little too small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it at the ½ inch. I could do it at a quarter. A quarter would give me enough gluing. 3/4, this line here, not 3/4, but 3/8 would give me a better glue line. So I'm going to do it at 3/8. It's going to be my next line. And then I'm going to cut off at that line. So that is how big my thing should be, my pillar should be. Now I wonder if I turn it over, can I get my other pillar in? And I'm hoping I can, but I'm going to do it this way. So I want a ½ inch and an inch, get up there, and a 1 inch, and a 1.5 inch, and a 2 inch, find the 2, and then, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, and then, where did we put that one? We put that one not quite at the ½ inch, right? We did it at the 3/8 inch, because this is, 1/4 is 2/8, and this is 3/8. So we do it at the 3/8. And we have this space in the middle that we're just going to cut and leave. All right, let's get out. Let's put this away for right now. You might need it later. I think I'm going to be happier with this smaller, much smaller pillar. Now, what what this does is this makes decorating the pillars a little more difficult. So we're going to decorate it before we roll it and fold it. We're going to do our decorating on the pillars. But let's get this out and we'll do the cutting. And I've got nice straight lines to follow, so I should be able to cut a straight line. But I didn't, so you know. Anyway, it's just... I know I could get my my trimmer out. It's sitting actually right beside me there, but anyway, there. All right, so that can go over there. So now we have this little pillar, much smaller pillar, and that's going to be much better because it won't cover up the picture. It's going to, the picture will sit in the middle, which is what I want because I want to be able to put the picture in after the pillars are on. Okay, so if I'm going to decorate the pillars, I would like them to be brighter. This is going to go on here, and this is going to be my backing, but I don't want it where the 1/2 inch where the pillars are going to be, because this is a really slippery paper, and the pillars might not stick well to it. So I'm thinking I'm going to, well, I could use double-sided tape, and that would make sure the pillars stuck to it. It's just, it's easier to cut it. It's easier to cut it if I can just cut the full sheet and not have to worry about a 1/2 inch in, or, you know, and then not getting that straight. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do that. I'll just line this up as best I can and draw a line on the back like this, and then cut that. Now, I know you can't see that. I am going to get my cutter out for this one, though. Come here, you. Come on. Now, I'm dragging this down toward me so I can actually see what I'm doing. Move you out of the way. Come on. Let it sit flat. Get something going on here. Oh, my little thing isn't in place. Get in. There. It has a slide out thing so I can use it for full-size sheets of paper. Now I'm going to push this back. Now where's my line? Oh my. Okay. Now on this particular trimmer, and trimmers like this, there's a wire that runs right down the very middle between your two sides of your ruler and your cutter. And you line your whatever line it is up, and then you'll cut a straight line if you set the paper in so that it's straight. And that's always the thing, is for some reason I get the paper crooked or something, and then it doesn't want to cut straight, of course, because how can it when I put it in crooked? Alright, let's see, where is the pencil line didn't show up very dark, so I really have to kind of look. Okay. Now, hopefully that's straight. Alright, let's pretend it's straight. So this is going to go, here's my card base, here, card base. That piece can go up to the side because you didn't use it. So this is going to go on the card base, like that. Now you can see this card base isn't exactly square. You see? So you have to line it up the way it was meant to be cut, meant to be put. And I think I'm going to use double-sided tape. Now I don't always use double-sided tape, but on shiny things, double-sided tape can work better. It seems to hold shiny things better. Like when we're putting the acetate down. Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah, okay. Go on there. When you're putting the acetate down, you're going to want to use double-sided tape because the acetate doesn't like glue. And you can put glue on, but it won't hold it for very much. It really doesn't like glue that much. So, alrighty, get this on. Now I'm not right over to the edge on this. Because that's really hard to do, get it lined up right with the edge. You do as good as you can, but you know, it doesn't always work the way you want. So now how you do these, how you lay it down and you get it straight, is you take your corner ones, it's your side ones. Let's make sure we got the side ones. Yes, that's the right one. So this one where I pieced it together is actually the top. Okay, so you take your side, get it? Alright, you want to be that way, do you? There. And you pull it just part way so that it's sticking out. I'm going to move that so you can see this. It's sticking out like a wing on both sides. This one happens to be a little shorter because of the way we put it down, because you don't want to overlap these double-sided tapes if you can help it. If they do overlap a bit, you got to get the one that's underneath. Yeah, and play around with it. You're going to move it, and then we take the top off the same way. Sort of flip it like this, and like this. So all you're exposing is your two corners up the top, and then you want to make sure that you've got some way of getting the bottom out as well, so that everything is like this. So once you get it laid down and you get it even, you get it straight, you have these little wings sticking out. Now I have to move this close to me so that I can get, actually I'm turning it upside down so I can do it right. So I can get it lined up properly on the card. So hold the card down and make sure that you've got it straight as you can, and then you kind of push the corner, okay? So now you've got the corner in place. Don't lay down your bottom. Now you pull the top out like this and rub it, and pull that top piece back and rub that, and then start pulling your side pieces kind of as even as you can. I got this laid down slightly crooked, and it's going to get a bigger white piece on the side as we go. I'm going to try not to worry about that because we are going to have a pillar there. Alright, so then we pull that, and then we lay that down, and then we grab this one and we pull it back and we lay it down. And that makes it so much easier than pulling off all of this and then trying to lay it down on your card straight. So it's a good trick to learn. Alright, now we've got our pillars, we've got our other paper, and now I know I probably have plenty of paper to decorate these little bits, because you're just cutting a tiny little strip to put in them if you want to decorate them at all. They're very, very tiny, and the strips you're cutting aren't going to be very big. So what I'm looking for is what's going to go nicely. Let's put the lady aside for a minute. What's going to go nicest and bring out the colors I want brought out in this picture. So you can see when I put this one, the greens are brought out. It enhances the greens. When I put this one, it enhances all the flowers, and even her top gets enhanced. So you can see it a little bit clearer if you can see that in the camera. There's one that's stripes. I don't like it as much. It does have kind of a vintage wallpaper look, but I don't like it as much. So I'm going to say no, and this one's too blue, I think. All right. I am really drawn to one of these little ones. I think this one for the size of the pillars. They're tiny little, pardon me, tiny little dots. And I think that would suit the pillars because the pillars are so small. I think that would suit the pillars best. Because she's going to be sitting on a dark background, right? She's going to be sitting on a dark background like this, and the pillars are going to be like a frame on either side. All right. So now we need to figure this out. So we know we have 1/2 inch spaces here. And that means we need slightly smaller than 1/2 inch for each of these. And we need them this long. So we're looking at we need this much space for each one of our pieces. Now there's a part here that's kind of double dots. And I don't really want to use that, so maybe I'll use the bottom part instead. Maybe I'll use the bottom part on this side instead. Now the skinnier one, you don't need that at all. You're not going to cover that because that's going to be hidden. That's your glue line. I got it crooked. How do I do that? Anyway, so you've got like a 2-inch piece that is for this. That's all you need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pencil and I'm going to do this. I'm going to try not to move it away from, as I'm drawing the line, it was pushing this away. So I want to try and do a straight line, or more or less. And we've got this 2-inch piece. So if I cut off this 2-inch piece, I know what I'm dealing with, right? And if it's slightly bigger, that's okay because we can cut it. We're going to be cutting it more. So now we need less than a 1/2 inch, right? So we just need less than 1/2 inch. That's all we have to know. It's less than 1/2 inch. So my first one, 1/2 inch. Is there. And I'm just going 1 notch less than 1/2 inch, so it's like a 1/16 of an inch less. And then over here I'll do 2/16 of an inch less. Yeah. And then over here I'm going to do 3 less, right? To get it the right size. Am I confusing you? And then here we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 less. And that should be, all of those should be right. Which one of you is correct? What else? What's this one? This one is wrong. Okay. I should do that up here again so that I can draw a straight line. But I don't need to because I'm going to use my cutter. I'm going to try and cut this. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try and cut this using the cutter, lining up the marks, finding where the marks are. Finding where the marks are is the trick. Yes, I'm on my own today with the camera, so I'm hoping it just keeps running like it's supposed to. And Gary's had to go out and do a bunch of stuff. So I'm here. I'm here. All right. Let's see if we can cut this. That's our first one now. I want to make sure it actually works. I cut it crooked. How did I cut it crooked? I lay it on there. The bottom is straight. everything is straight and somehow I end up with it crooked. And I don't know how. All right. That just gives me a space. I don't know. I don't know. You know, if you follow the dots, it looks like it's a straight line. On both sides, it looks like it's a straight line. And yet, it's not. And that's a straight line. You know, because this I used my scoreboard for, and I know that the scoreboard is straight. It's just not straight. But I think that'll be okay. Now, if I can get the rest of them to be straight, then we'll be laughing. Because I can always chop that little bit off on the edge. I have no idea why it's there. Okay. All right. So that's one little strip. I don't know how we're going to do this, if we're going to be able to do it. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. That might be a good idea. Turn it over. Try and line up the dot as close as I can. And then move this. Because the bottom on this one is an edge of a page. I really don't know if this is going to work. You know, I may be just fooling myself with this one. Now we've got one more to go. Oh, this is going to be tough. Now we've got two more to go, don't we? Yeah, because we need 4 pieces. So I need this. I need my pokey tool to kind of move it over a bit. I need working. Use my pokey tool and then I end up poking a hole in it. If I move you out of the way, can I see better that way? Can I move it better that way? Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, the thing is there is a part here that it doesn't have a ridge for you to lean on. And it's at both ends. And this is really skinny. I don't know. Well, world, I'm not putting young people down. I'm just saying. And by young people, I'm talking anybody under 40. You know, like, I hear so many young people saying, and I apologize if this is insulting to anybody out there, but, you know, I don't do math. Well, if you don't do math, you ain't counting by sevens from 100. And I know it's to, you know, to see if your brain is still functioning, but I mean, I just found it, well, a bit on the prejudice side, really, you know, to make an older person do something that you'd never ask a younger person to do. I mean, it's like, well, no, they couldn't do it, but you can. That just doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, yeah, so we were having quite a discussion about that little thing in, you know, in the whole driving industry. And you don't know about it until you reach that age, and then you get this test. You got to do the test. I mean, there's other things they do too. They do peripheral vision, which, hey, I'm all for that. You know, if you don't have great peripheral vision, then get out of your car. Stop driving, because, you know, it's really important for you to be able to see a child over there on the street out of the corner of your eye, without having to turn your head to do so. This turned out really bad. So what I've gotten is the impression that you really do need to fold these first and then put these on, because then you can get them in the middle. Because I didn't get them in the middle on any of them. Well, this one will be okay. This one is going to be my on top one on this one. But on the others, I'm going to fold them Now, we're going to do this one different. And then we'll put the little pieces of paper on after the fact. Because, you know, yeah. Let's at least try and get one side, you know, done right. But it did make it easier for gluing it down, but it ain't going to make it easier for lining it up. So, anyway, did you see what I did on that? Sorry, I was yapping away there about, you know, 5 or 10 cognitive tests. So you fold it and burnish it, right? And then you're going to glue this side to this side. And basically, what you have to do is I was you know, kind of messing around with it there, but what you do is lay it down flat, turn this one over, put your glue on, right? And make sure you're gluing the small side on the outside, right? Because you did cut one smaller, or at least, you know, I did. And then just in the middle, push this down and get glue all over your hand. And then just in the middle, just push that down. And that should glue it just fine. And then once you've got it glued and it wants to stay, because that's the important part, get it glued and make it sit. Then you can, you know, bring it up and make it into a square. And then just make sure your ends are caught really good. And then you can still do grab something flat. This is just an orange peeler thing. I always have one next to me because when I eat oranges, I like to peel them. And I like to eat oranges when I'm sitting at my desk, kind of thing. So anyway, there we go. Now, we got to get, you know, the other pillar done properly. All right. So we need little strips that are this long. Now that paper is pretty good. We'll just, you know, cut that part off if we want to. That's pretty good. It's just, you know, about the right length. And then, so then we need to cut these little less than a ½ inch square or bits, pieces. So where's my pencil? Less than a ½ inch, so one notch less than a ½ inch. And see, I'm lining up my T ruler. It should one notch less than a ½ inch. And I guess it depends on where your eyes are when you do the less than a ½ inch, you know? Don't know. Okay, my T ruler is straight. Put my finger down like that and draw my line. And then I'm going to cut it. I'm just going to cut and go. I'm going to cut these as I go and not measure them. I'll measure from each edge. And then I'm going to cut this as straight as I can so that, you know, when I measure my next one, it's at least partially straight. And then, with my finger, then we're going to put this down on here. And we can take the little bits off, like that's what I did. I just cut the little ends off, the little bits that were sticking over, I cut them off. You can take the little bits off later. But this will be better because I can get it in the middle, more or less in the center. Come on. Oh yeah. This lid really fastens on tight. The other one was looser. But maybe that's why my glue in the other one started to leak down into the lid all the time. Anyway. Well, let's do this. Once we get these pillars done, then we can lift the rest of the card and what we're going to do with it. Move down, move down. Yeah. All right. There, more or less. Yeah. More or less. It's a little crooked, but, you know, it's okay. I mean, you know, just chop the end off there. There we go. Chuck that little tiny piece that's stuck to my finger into the garbage. And go to the next one and do the next one. I mean, it's, you know. No, that's not where I was. Where was I? There was? No, that's not where I was. Here's where I was. I was down here, wasn't I? Yes, you were. You were down here. Now I've got a plan. I'm going to suck that over just a tad on both ends, and I'm going to draw a line Like that. See how that worked. Looks about right. It looks about right. Like that. That was this one, wasn't it? Sort of. It looks about right. Well, you know, it's cut crooked because that's me. I'm so used to being, you know, things being a little on the crooked side. Anyway, forgive my crookedness. It is what it is. Yeah, this is good. So this Gary's off right now, finding out if we're gonna be moving into a house or we're gonna be moving into a motorhome. He's got a meeting with somebody and see what they have to say. But I have a suspicion they're going to be saying exactly the same thing as everyone else is saying. There's just no places out there that you can afford. And a lot of seniors right now in, I don't know, worldwide perhaps, but definitely in North America, a lot of seniors can't afford to live in a place. We don't get like raises. We don't have a union. We don't have any of that. We just have to kind of, you know. That actually didn't work that great, did it? No, let's do this properly. All right, so we're cutting from there. We're gonna go up here. We're gonna go 1 notch back from 1/2 inch. And then we're gonna do the same thing here. Does this seem to give us a straighter line? A straighter line than me laying the thing down and, you know, drawing a crooked line. So let's do this proper, or at least, you know, as proper as we can. All right, you lined up? Good, good. Stay there. 3. Oh goodness. Yeah, I'm holding the paper on the corner. I shouldn't be because it's not keeping it very steady, but yeah. There. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do this again and get the 2 of them cut. And then we can glue the 2 of them on. And then we should be done with this fussy part. Then we'll move on to another fussy part. How about that? No, good. We're still recording. Had to stop and look up. Am I still recording? Yeah, we're good. And Gary tends to come over. He keeps an eye on how long I've been going, and then he has an idea of, you know, when the camera might stop, when the batteries might stop, you know, that kind of thing. And it really helps because when I look up, it's really hard for me to see, for one thing. Hard for me to see the small bits that are on there. And then he'll, if I need it, he changes batteries and does all that goody stuff for me. And when I'm working, I have no idea how much time goes by. And I'll say to him, well, how long have I been recording? And he'll go, an hour or whatever. And I go, what? Sure didn't feel like it to me, you know, it felt like a few minutes, but okay, you know. And that's the thing with crafting is, like, when you get into crafting something, making something, you lose track. You just lose track of how long you've been playing. You're just doing stuff, you know, like you're just sitting there doing stuff, and before you know it, an hour's gone by or 2 hours has gone by. You go, what? I wasn't on there that long. Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. But, you know, that's one of the nice things. You can sort of take yourself away from life and worry and all that stuff just by doing a bit of crafting. Because you're concentrating on what am I doing, and what order do I have to do this in, and what do I want to use for decoration, and all that stuff, you know. You know, if you're a crafter, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what craft it is either. You just get lost in it. When I used to be when we were in the motorhome the last time, I did loom knitting and crocheting because it was a pretty simple thing to bring with me, and I could do it in those days. I have a hard time now because I can't see properly. But that doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means it's crooked. Everything's crooked. Anyway, so yeah, so I used to do loom knitting, and I'd sit there and just be sitting there, just enjoying the day. And sometimes I'd have my iPad because I had a laptop and I had an iPad, and sometimes I'd have my iPad on doing something, But most of the time, it was just me just sitting there doing, enjoying the day. All right, we've got pillars. We have this. We have this. Now, we're not going to put her in until we've got the pillars in place. So we want these pillars. Yes, this one's going on. Is it this one? Yes, it's this one that's going on top. Maybe I'll turn it. Yeah, I'll do it. Do it this way. You can do it this way. So we want to do that. We want the pillars to go on, and then I may have to shave her down a bit to fit her in. I could just put her in and then put the pillars on top. But I've got a different idea for her. She's not going directly down on this. She's going to be a little bit different. So let's put the pillars down. I'm just trying to figure out which one would be better on the inside, and I think that one, would be better on the inside because this one's a little bit better for, it's done better. So I got to do the pillars. Now we're going on to shiny paper again. You're going to be the downside one. And on the downside one, we really didn't have to. We only had to do 3 sides. I'm realizing that right now. We really only had to do 3 sides. Because 4 sides here. And I did 4 sides, but it's fine. It's all fine. You just work with it. You just work with it. Now, try and get this up because it's sticking over the end. It's not going to want to lift properly. Do it without the tape. Thanks. Try and lift it from the side. It might work. Come on. Give me this. Give me. We don't want to. All right, gotta cut it. You gotta cut it. Okay, gotcha. Cut you off. Try and get that off my finger now. All right, let's try and cut it this time. Try and lift it this time. See if it will work. Come on. I have longish nails, and they will fit underneath this. There. All right, now this has got a bit that's hanging over the end. Now what you do when you got that is you take the tape and you move it backwards. And you tape it onto itself. And that way it's fine. All right, now. Yeah, this is going this way. So we're going to line it up along the edge. Can you see what I'm doing? I hope so. Line it up along the edge. I'm sorry if there's a glare, but it's just the paper is that sort of paper. There. And then I'm going to just flatten this so that I can, push it down. Push that tape down. And I did not put glue with it. I just put the tape on. Because it's going on to this shiny paper, it'll be good. What I didn't do is push this up so that it was flat on the bottom. But it'll be fine. As long as I get the other one more or less even with it, it'll be fine. So now which one do we want on the inside? I think this one. This one on the inside, I think. Okay. So that means this one is the bottom. Drawing a line on it so that I know that's the bottom. This is the. Did I do the right one? This should have been the top. Jeez, I drew on it too. That was dumb. All right, let's get the line erased. Pretend it never happened. All right. Alrighty. Yeah, no, there's still a line. Get it out of there. Okay, there we go. I like these pencils. They're toss away though. They only have 3 leads in each of them. But you get quite a nice box of a dozen of them for cheap. $3 or $4, I think I paid for them. Alright, you're the top. And you're the inside. So this is my bottom here. Alright. Yes. Yeah. Yes, you're the top. I draw on the same thing. No, did I do that? Did I draw on the same one? Okay, stop drawing on them. Just quit drawing. All right, get the marks off. What I'm trying to find is the one that sort of matches this one. Is one that might, sort of match it in look. That one matches the best. This side. All right. So this side is the tapey side. A piece of tape. Oh, shoot. I really love it. That's why I marked it, was, because of things I thought happening. I love when things like that happen, don't you? No. Sorry, there was a break in this because my battery ran out and Gary wasn't here and I don't know how to change the battery. So, yeah. So I had to stop what I was doing and then I've got to figure this out again. Yeah, that's kind of how I want it, I think. No, it's this way. This way I want it. Or is it this way I want it? That way I want it. That's the way. Okay. Get this tape unrolled again. Turn this over here. Do this. Put this down. There. Like that. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're kind of gotta leave it. Gotta leave it. Otherwise, it's deciding it needs to rip the paper. Because it's stronger than the paper is, you see. Push back. There. All right. And just make sure everybody's, not hanging over the edge. All right. Now, just getting. Which is it? Yes. That's right. Okay, let's get this right. Do want it on the edge. There. Push it out. There. All right, we got that. Okay, now I was saying before that I didn't really want this to just go right here flat on this. I want it to stand up a bit. Now I can do that in several ways. And one way I can do it is by putting acetate on it and on this as a bridge and then putting this on. The other way I can do it is by putting puffy tape on the back of this, foam tape on the back of this, and I still have to cut the edge off a slight amount. I'm just trying to decide which side I should do that on. I think I'll do it on this side, and I need to just cut it a bit. Here's my trimmer. Yeah. I don't want to take too much off, but I want to take enough that it will fit. I'm trying to line it up. The trouble with having the bright light is I can't see with a bright light. It makes it really hard for me to see what I'm doing and what I'm measuring, and it's definitely sitting crooked. Not quite that much. Okay, I'm gonna hope that's straight. Okay. I also want to kind of trim this top because it's really quite crooked. I've noticed. So just sliver off so that it's even. Oh, come on, get out of there. Okay, I'm trying to sort of not hurry, but hurry, so I don't run out of battery again. Okay, that's not quite enough. Come back. Not quite. I'll take it off. See, there's a little bit I could take off this side, which there's a bit of a shadow, so I could take it off this side. It's just a tad. I want it to fit straight across. I don't want it to have to be measuring all that stuff in the middle. Now, all right. Hopefully that's enough. It fits in there without. Yeah, that fits in there good. So if I put tape on the back, this foam tape. Now this foam tape is ancient. It truly is. So some of it has gotten unsticky on parts. So I want this up a bit, you see, just to raise it off the background, more toward where I am going to have acetate across here, and then this is going to go on top of it. So I want this tall enough that doesn't look weird with the acetate on. And it's too far away, you know, like I don't want it to look like, oh, that's way far away from where the picture is. I want it to have a 3D look, but I don't want it to be too high. I don't know if that made any sense to anybody but me, but I suppose as long as it makes sense to me. Yeah, Gary came in, and we are going to be going into a motorhome. There just is no place in town or anywhere in the province, basically, that we can afford to live in. We will be in a motorhome. And that is not going to be too far into the future either. Now, parts of this tape are not sticky, like this piece here. That's not sticky anymore. So I'm going to have to put some glue on. I'll add some glue to part of each of these, so that when I get it in there, I can sort of move it if I need to. But I'm going to have to put more glue on this end of this one because it doesn't have anything. And then I'm just going to run just a little glue down the middle of each of these, just so that if I need to, I can maybe wiggle it a little bit. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, so Gary and I are going to be going into a motorhome. Yeah, we have to find one. We'll have to trade our little vehicle in. To get a motorhome, we'll have to do that. And you know, you do in life what you need to do in order to survive properly. There, that is pretty good. It's not exact, but it is pretty good in there. So there we go with that. Now, where did my acetate go? Here. Now the acetate, I need to clean it. Let's get rid of these crumbs here, or bits. They're just garbage. Where's my paper towel? So we'll get a piece of paper towel. Get a couple of pieces because we want to wet it and dry it. Pull you in half. I do like the way that they started doing this. Started a few years back, but where they started doing paper towel like this, because it makes it easier, because you get a great big piece, like on the ones that are full-size sheets. You get a great big piece and you don't use it, or you try tearing it in half anyway. I remember back before these came out, invented, if you want. They were paper towel was in the full-size sheets, what they call full-size sheets now. Yeah. I laugh at the way they've changed paper things, though. Now, that is pretty good. It does have fluffy bits on it that seem to want to sticking. There's something here. It almost feels like glue bits, which it could possibly be, because this isn't the cleanest place. Maybe what I need to do is this. It does tend to slide around, but at least maybe I can get it cleaned. Now, I'm sorry if this is really glaring at you, because I can't clean it if I have it in my hand. Okay, that's better. And once it's on the thing and solid on there, we can actually clean it again if we need to before we put down the other lady. So this is going to go. Let's move that. No, move that. This is going to go like this on here, and I don't need it a full sheet, but I'm going to do it as a full size. Like I could just do a piece, that was that big instead, but I'm going to do it full size because then I can put things on the front here as well. Now, is that going to look weird with her? Because I got to line her up on this acetate on the front. I can put it on the back though. That would be tricky, wouldn't it? Whoa. Oh man, that would be really tricky. Get her put onto the back of it. I don't think I'll do that. That would be a little more difficult than I have time for. It's not impossible, but not easy either. Okay. So what I need is my, I think I need my guillotine for this now. It's hiding. It's hiding over here. That's all right. You can't see it, but I can. I got it. Now, I think the guillotine might be better. This has rounded corners. I got to take the rounded corners off. Like that. Chuck that. Then I need to measure this. How big is this little opening here? How big do I need? I need from... No. You see, I need to push these up so that they're straight up. And this is measuring... to there. Yeah. Over there. Now. Yeah, this is measuring 3/4 and another half. 5 and something eighths, and I don't have that on here. So what I have to do then is I have to measure the stuff. And this is kind of tricky because I got to measure here. And that ain't going to mark it. My pencil, my handy dandy pencil, is not going to mark it, so I need a marker. Okay. Now I got a couple of dots to follow. Turn you over, line you up. And line them up. See, the thing with these cutters is they cut. Difficult for me to show you, but there's a little edge here, a little metal edge here, and that is where your arm cuts against. So you have to, when you're lining things up, you have to line them on that edge, which isn't always easy, and it isn't against this edge. This is in further. And so you have to line it up. Where are you? Where's my other one? There it is. Lost it for a moment. And we will set that aside because that can be kept. That's a fairly wide strip. You could actually use that on something like this, a pillar card where you just wanted one line across. Now we need to measure upwards. Measure this. And I'm measuring on the pillars. And that is, it's a little less. So now we're measuring up. And I have to lean backwards and get the light just right on it. And that should be it. And we'll try and get the same thing here. That should be it. Okay. So you don't need much. You just need a couple of marks, so that because this doesn't measure beyond 5 inches. It's a really small one. I didn't realize when I bought it. When I first started buying stuff, I was listening to people that I was watching, and the trouble with doing that is that a lot of times they're talking about something they would like you to buy, because if you buy it, then they get a bit of a cut. It's not huge, but every penny counts, right? So a lot of times that's what's happening is, and they'll say, well, just follow the link below. They have to disclose on YouTube. You have to disclose if you're an associate or something like that. But anyway, you kind of are trusting people that you don't really know, and they're all recommending the things that they use, which makes sense. Did I get this the right way around or not? I think I did. I think this is no, this is the right way around. All right. So we have to put tape here on this side. All right. So we need a bit of tape here, here, right there, and thank you for that. I do that. I tend to, it gets stuck in my finger and I pull it away. And then what I'm actually doing, if you can see my head, pardon it. But I have to, what I'm actually doing is I'm ripping the tape back here. So it kind of is the way that, I work. Anyway, here we go. So now we're going to do the same thing as we did before. And we want to pull these in so that the acetate is on the edge here. Now once we pull off the tape, of course, you won't see the you won't see the tape. You're going to push down on it and make it so that it goes invisible. Or like you can do with tape. I just want to cut that even. Go over there. Alright, then I should be able to lift this. Use my trusty pokey tool maybe. You know, you're going to lift. I don't want to poke the acetate because that'll mark it. I just want stupid tape tool. Alright, so we're going to do this. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. And not try and put it all down at once because that might not be good. Oh, okay. It's doing it. Okay. I did this all by itself. How good. How good. Alright, so we're going to pull this in a bit. So we're going to put it down on one side. Line it up. Put it down. Okay? Then you want to make sure that both sides are squared up before you push down on this side. Not so they're bowing in. This one's bowing in a bit. I'm hoping that I can lift it a bit. I don't want it to bow in, but I don't want it to, you know. And then just, you know, just do this sort of thing. Pull it off. Pull it off. No. That's not what you were supposed to do. And then you get that to happen. And then you want to do the same thing over here. And then, get rid of this. I'm going to get one of my these bone folders because they push better. Now, I may be able to still slide that over again. And you want to push down so you make that stuff, that tape, invisible. Okay? There, like that. And I want to do the same thing on this side. Now I'm pushing over top of tape that I've got under there, of course. So, you know, but that is pretty good. Now, the way that this is right now, if you wanted to mail this, you could push it over to one side or the other and get it into an envelope. And, you know, it will flatten down to a point. But, you know, if you're not mailing it, then it's fine exactly the way it is. There, okay, now let's see what we're going to do with our lady. Now she's going to have to go down with tape because she is on this acetate. Yeah, she has to go down with tape because of the acetate. So this is going to be interesting. Because we need to put tape on her. Now we can put tape down the middle. Come here. Cut that off. And then we're going to have to piece in bits of tape. So, you know, like you would if you were putting in foam. Same type of thing. You have to put in bits. And you want some on the hands, some on the arms, the shoulders, the skirt, you know, so you need to get it in there. I'm doing this skirt on a crooked. I should have done that one crooked as well, because you don't need it every single inch. You need it where it's going to do the most good and, you know, kind of hold things down the best. Now over here, we can kind of cut this one at an angle like that. Maybe we can use this over here. In that spot, and like any tape that's sticking over the edge like that little bit, once we peel off the thing, we can just put it back onto the card. Now this arm is going to be tricky, but we can use the same principle. And about that long, I think, maybe. We can use the same principle as when we pull the tape off, we push the tape, the overhang up. I mean, you can go around and cut around it if you want to, but you don't have to. because the tape will roll up onto itself. So we got a little bit down on here, on the skirt. So we're just going to do a little piece like that. And then we got a tiny bit on her other shoulder over here. And I think, cut this one. I put this down in the middle here. Down in the middle like that. There. And it overlaps a little bit. So what I got to do is I'm going to pull the bottom out first. This bottom piece out. Now this one I am going to take all the tape, because if I try and roll any of this tape back, it's not going to work. So when you pull the bottom out, then you can pull up the one that's sitting on top of it, and the tape sticks to the one that was below it. Oh, come on. All right, come on. Yeah, we got to get new batteries for this camera. It's awful. We have a camera that's a really, really good camcorder. Like, this is a little camcorder. And the one that I've got, it's a really, really good one, but it uses tapes. It's really quite old, but it's really a good camera. It's a Sony. We've used it for other things, that, you know, professional types of things that we did in our past. We've actually done video CDs for a couple of, and I'm going to push this, and if you have to, you can put a little nick into the tape, but usually it just rolls around into where it should be and out of your way. And there you have it. Now that's all taped. Oops. Okay, my fingers are sticking in. I'm going to really have to be careful laying this down. It's got to go on exact. Otherwise, it's going to look really silly. There, get that back in. One more little piece. Anyway, yeah, we did video for a tourist attraction place, which they sold in their store. And we used that camera, and it's really a good little camera. It's a camera I bought many years back. And I had a lot of fun with it, doing all sorts of things. All right, now I want this. Now it's got to lay exactly on her skirt. Her arms, her head, her hair. I did it. I did it. Yay. Now, I also have her sewing machine that I want to put in here so that it looks good. This little piece here is going to have to be cut off. That's okay because it got cut off anyways. There. I think I'll put some tape on this, and this I think is going to work really good. I'm actually quite pleased. It gives it that sort of 3D look. You know, I'm always doing stuff. I'm always just, everything is an adventure. I have had a life of adventure. I'm very curious, always have been. From when I was a small child and got in trouble for climbing a cupboard and pulling the cupboard over on myself and became afraid of heights as a result. I was a year and a half. And the cupboard, my mother didn't know that the cupboard wasn't fast to the wall. And she got really mad at the landlord for not telling her. But yes, I've always been a curious sort, and I've always gotten myself into a bit of trouble. Well, not always, but you know, curious people get themselves into trouble. just by being curious, because you gotta know how that works or what that is. And I've always done that. I've always been that person that just needed to find things out. I've never been scientific, or it's never anything one thing in particular, which is why I never really got anywhere in life. I mean, beyond working my butt off my whole life, and it was in my spare time that I did all this other stuff. My spare time being the non-working hours that I did stuff, and I used to do all kinds of things. I was never afraid of just doing, just go ahead and do it. And if it doesn't work, oh well, you give it a shot. It doesn't work. That's okay. Move on. There's something else around the corner for you to give a shot. Like there's always a new adventure. And that's how I'm looking at this whole motorhome thing. We lived in one before. It was horrible, a horrible experience. But, we lived in one before. We have a bit of experience in the worst possible motorhome because nothing worked in it. It was, yeah, never buy from family or friends, just because that was something. Now we have to piece this next to the lady's hand and put it in so that it's more or less. So when it stands up, there, that is, oh, that's so awesome. I'm so happy. Look how well that turned out. Now, in order to do decorating, I can decorate. I can use these. And this is what I was looking at them for, is because these can go on as decoration, or I can just leave it plain like that, and just leave it. Because I really like that. I think that turned out so cool. Like if I hold it up, you can see, maybe, I don't know if you can see how it's got that 3D look to it. Oh, that's got a little bit of foam sticking out, so we're just going to poke that down with our nail. There. But yeah, I think that turned out so cool. I like it. Another adventure success. Now, I was going to use some of these Lizzie's things. Now, I mean, I hear other people raving about how great they are. I've never been successful with them. I put them on, and they unpeel down the ends. Wherever the ends are, they unpeel. So, do I want to do it? I was thinking on the edge here, I could put a little bit of I'll show you. Let's see. Well, let's just take a big one. I don't have any of these real fat ones anymore that are here. So I have to use these skinnier ones. I'm going to see. Well, I've got two of them together. I don't know if they'll... No, they're not going to stay together. But I got two of them. Two of them. Now, let's see. If I do... Take one away. Go over there. I do one down the middle of each of these. It's okay. It's not great. I'm not really happy. I like better plain, I think. So I'm just going to leave it plain. Now this is going to be my card. I've said this before. I don't generally put greetings on, sentiments on, until I'm ready to send it out. Then I know who's getting it. I know what the sentiment needs to be. I make, card fronts, basically, and then leave the insides. Now this one is fastened to a card base. So, I'm doing good that way, but it is still shippable, you see. I would need a little bit bigger envelope. How big would I need? Oops. Knocking things over on the other side there. So if I push this down, I do that to the end. So I need an envelope that's about 6.5 inches wide by 6 inches tall. I would have to make one for this particular card because it is that size. But, it's not impossible. Making an envelope is not difficult. I have an envelope. We are memory makers envelope punch board, but you don't need a punch board in order to make an envelope. You just measure it, work with it. But yeah, I think that turned out really nice. Okay, my camera is going to tell me it's dead, and I'm going to have to go. So that's it for this time. But, let me know what you think. Do you think I think this is such a really cool card. And I really like that I saved this stuff. And I mean, I'm not putting a bottom on it. I'm not covering up her bottom of her skirt and doing all this. It could work, but I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like that. Do it this way. It covers your skirt too much, I think. Now I might be able to get away with something else. And I do have, things like this that I could use and put on the edge and line them out along the edge. Maybe. I don't think so. I've also got all these shiny things and all these shiny things. I've got all kinds. Because you get them. I got all these in kits, different kits. I also have these sorts of things, sequins, and then these, which are a different kind of shiny thing than those other little ones. So, alrighty, I'm going to say goodbye though before my camera shuts off, and I say to Gary when he comes in, I need another 5 minutes. Okay. So you take care of yourselves out there, and I hope the weather is nice for you. It's beautiful here today. I'm really pleased with that. I can at least have the door open and let some fresh air in this place. You know how it gets stale in the house when it's wintertime? Well, that's what our house is, stale. And we don't have windows on both sides of our apartment. We only have them on the one side. So you can't get the cross breeze. So anyway, I will say goodbye for this time. Talk to you again in the next one. I'll see you then. Bye.